This crime prevention formula works. I'm going to share with you a couple of strategies that you can implement to reduce your chances of falling victim to crime. The first strategy that I wanted to share with you in today's video has to do with cell phone precautions. If you live in a developing country or if you just vacation in a developing country, there are a lot of precautions that you should take. We all know that our phone, contains a lot of sensitive data. We have plenty of applications on our phone that we need access to on a daily basis to perform our lives, our businesses. So with that being said, losing your phone could be everything but pleasant. The question is, what can you do? Let's say you live in a developing country, you live in a not so safe country, and let's say you are in Colombia, let's say you are in the Dominican Republic, in the Philippines, let's say you hang out in one of those countries and you're always concerned about carrying your phone with you because you have a lot of personal data on your phone, not just your contacts. You have potentially Google Authenticator installed, an application that's really important for you to access accounts that you need on a daily basis. It's also possible that you have other applications such as bank applications installed that you need to actually be able to use your bank cards in order to withdraw money, or if you want to send a wire, right? You need these applications. Do you really want to carry around your phone where you have all these applications installed? And the answer to this question is probably not. You don't want to do that. So what's the alternative? I think the alternative is that you simply have a dummy phone. And a dummy phone is a phone where you just have the most essential stuff on it. Let's say you have your contacts on the dummy phone. Let's say you have Viber, you have Skype, you have just communication applications that you need, that you also have installed on your other phone, but you don't have your most sensitive data on that phone. Why? Because you want to carry this phone with you at all times. And in the event that you should lose the phone, it's not going to be the end of the world. That's what I would advise you to do. Your main phone should always be in a very secure location where you're not going to have any issues. I mean, most likely things can always happen, but this is really important. Your dummy phone should allow you to use your most important applications that you need when you're outside. Applications such as WhatsApp, Skype, Google Maps, anything that you use to make phone calls. As long as you have the most basic, the most essential applications installed on your dummy phone, you're good to go. Second, avoid flashy stuff at all costs. And this is so important because your external really can get you in a lot of trouble, especially if you hang out in a place that's pretty poor or where you stand out a lot more. But another thing that people don't seem to really focus on when they go outside is just their overall appearance. Do they fit in with the locals? Do they have a similar dress code? And if the answer is no, then you just stand out a lot more because you don't fit in. And what I mean by flashy stuff, we are talking about branded shirts, we're talking about gold chains, we're talking about gold necklaces, we're talking about watches, we're talking about stuff that you don't really need to wear in certain places. Of course, maybe it makes you feel better to wear those things, those items, but at the end of the day, it's all about your personal safety. So you can't ever neglect that. What I would advise you to do if you go to a place like Mexico, Colombia, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, it doesn't matter where you choose to vacation or live in, make sure that your dress code fits in. You don't want to stand out too much and you don't want to draw the wrong attention. This is something that you really need to be aware of because I can tell you that a friend of mine had a really crazy experience in Argentina. So he was wearing a watch. I don't even know what watch it was, but he was wearing a watch and he was brutally mugged during daylight in Buenos Aires. And he thought, how was that possible? He thought Buenos Aires is a very safe city and the neighborhood he lived in was also very safe. Since, he didn't really fit in with the locals, he just drew the wrong type of attention, which definitely caused him a lot of trouble. And he was brutally mugged, but worst of all, he decided to leave the country, sell his property in Buenos Aires and never go back there. Here you can see how bad of an impact such an insignificant thing can have on your life. You never want to carry your credit cards with you because It's not so easy to request a new credit card, especially if you travel a lot, because the credit card is usually sent to your home address, and if you don't spend a lot of time, at your main home address, then it's going to be very difficult for you to get the new credit card. And it doesn't just need to be a credit card. It could be an ATM card, could be identification cards, right? ID cards, passport. Whenever you go out, just carry the least possible. Prepare for the best case scenario. Don't carry 3 or 4 IDs with you. Have a little bit of cash, but don't carry more than you need to. In the event that you should get mugged, in the event that you should lose your wallet, if you just lost like 1 ID and 1 credit card, it is not the end of the world. Avoid sketchy neighborhoods and streets. This is really important because a lot of people don't really consider that at all. Maybe they come from a Western country and they think, well, it's going to be safe in that developing country as well because I'm used to a certain safety back home. That may not be true. Wherever you stay, you want to make sure that you really research the neighborhood well. So what's important here is just to make sure you avoid sketchy neighborhoods that are very prone to crime. And how do you know that? That is obviously the question. Well, you can join Facebook groups, you can go on TripAdvisor, you can join forums, just join certain sites or platforms and ask around. Let's say you found an Airbnb, you kind of know where it's located, but you are not really sure whether this is a good neighborhood or not. Post your question on the platform. Let's say it's a Facebook group. Let's say it's on a forum, create a forum thread. Just ask that. And then, see what people have to say. There will be people who have lived in your neighborhood already or that have experience in that particular neighborhood area of the city. Also, be careful at night. Most crimes happen at night, not during day. Bars, partying, and one-night stands. A very important subject for people that go to certain places to have fun. And what you want to consider here is, of course, who you hang out with. Because at the end of the day, if you are in a developing country and you end up meeting a person who you don't know, you're obviously exposing yourself to a lot of risk. So you have to take certain precautions. And I always like to say you don't know a person you haven't spent at least a couple of years with. You just don't know a person. It takes a lot of time to know a person, so don't blindly put your faith into a person you don't know. Because it may work out, it may not work out. It really depends. So what you want to do is, let's say you're into casual dating and you find women on Tinder. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you minimize the amount of risk that you're taking during that night. So you make sure that you have your dummy phone with you. You make sure that you have as few IDs and credit cards with you as possible. Dress modestly. That's the first thing you need to do. Secondly, only drink from a bottle that's been opened in front of you. And the reason why that's so important is if you happen to be in a place, where there's a lot of drug-related crime, let's say Colombia, let's say you are potentially in Argentina, let's say you are in Ecuador, let's say you are in El Salvador, if you're somewhere in Latin America, you want to make sure that you only drink from a bottle that's been opened right in front of your eyes. This is how you minimize the amount of risk that you're taking. Even if that means you can only drink beers, you can only drink certain types of cocktails, that's all right because you are, again, minimizing the amount of risk that you're taking. You don't want to get yourself into a scenario where you end up being drugged and lose all of your belongings. So you brought your date to a bar, you had a couple of drinks, and you now want to hook up. What is the best strategy here? Because what a lot of guys would do is they would bring their date to their main place. Wherever they're staying, they would bring the girl back there where, they just have all their belongings. I don't think that's a good decision at all. I think what you should do is, look for an hourly hotel, look for a hotel, for one night, because first of all, you're not gonna create a really bad impression at your main place because you're not bringing back a different girl every night, and in a lot of places, the girl that you bring back actually has to show her ID for her to be granted admission into your residence. So you don't want to do that because security, they're going to raise some eyebrows sooner rather than later. It's like, why is this guy bringing back a new girl every single night? You can avoid that by just booking a hotel, for a couple of hours, if that's possible in the place where you're at, or just for one night. Again, you want to minimize the amount of risk that you're taking, and you minimize the amount of risk that you're taking by bringing that girl back to a place where most of your stuff is just not present. You know, you don't have your laptops there, you don't have your phones, you don't have your money there. And so even in the event that, you know, in the morning you wake up and she's gone with less. Criminals follow the path of least resistance. They don't want to have extra work. They are following a script. And the best that you can do is make it as difficult as possible for them so that they are discouraged to move ahead with you, because they have so many other potential victims to choose from that in the event that they see, you know what, this guy makes it so difficult that it's much better for us to move on to a different person because we don't want to have the extra work. We just want to have the easiest possible. And if that's not you, they're going to go to a different person. Are there any other strategies that you know of that we did not discuss? Leave a comment below and let us know. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm uploading new videos on digital nomad locations, travel updates, and investment advice several times a week right now. And if you got some more time left, check out these videos.